Hey everybody, welcome back to 13 Rings and NFC East podcast. We are officially all in the off season yet again. We did last week, but Mal wasn't with us because she was making a very special move. Mal, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I moved to Florida. I finally am settling in, and I love it here. It's so warm. It was 80 degrees today, and I can't wait for all that in the future. So I'm
Lucky
excited,
you.
but I'm really glad to be back. So
I don't know if that's lucky her. She has to deal with the generic Florida guy,
I
the
do.
crazy Florida people. So there
I
there
do.
Watch
is
out
that.
for them Gators. They're
Watch
out
out
there.
for them Gators.
They're
Exactly.
We
real.
love everybody on this podcast, even Floridians.
Even
Oh,
Yes.
of course,
Floridians.
of course. No, 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 of course, because my mom used to live in Florida for a while, so of course. But I'm just making jokes. Anyway, that being said, of course, we have Mal here with Earl and Maurice as well, and we're going to be talking about just our team's the news this offseason. It's going to be a relatively short one, or at least it should be. No long existential rants this time, Earl. Okay,
Yeah, that's done.
okay. But you feel better though, right?
Oh, I'm feeling amazing.
Okay,
Sometimes you just gotta let it out.
yeah. It was
Yeah, and I
very
really haven't
it was a
I,
very
I
cathartic
really haven't had a
podcast.
chance to do that. So getting that out of my system, I feel calm, cool, and collected. Snug as a
Yeah,
bug in the rug.
it was definitely a cathartic episode for both Earl and Maurice, that's for sure. It really
Therapeutic
was.
indeed.
That being said, let's get into it. So, Mal, me and you have been on the back burner since like week 11, week 12. So
Yep.
now, me and you are going to start off the podcast. So I'm going to go first. Actually, you know what? No, ladies first. Ladies first. You go ahead, Mal. You talk about your Giants.
All right. So it's been pretty quiet for the past few weeks. Not many interviews. We haven't made any real hires since we hired our new offensive line coach. We did interview Bobby Babich from the Buffalo Bills. He's a linebackers coach. Dable knows him. He's familiar with him. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if it's just another interview. I don't know if Dable's looking to hire somebody more familiar with him. I wouldn't be shocked if he does. Bills linebackers are pretty good. Matt Milano, he's a stud. So I don't really think I would be too upset with it. But that's really the only news we got, besides the fact of the big topic of will Saquon be back next year since he is a free agent. Personally, I don't have a good feeling about it. I think that Saquon's going to ask for too much money. I don't know if my GM will tag him again. If he does, it's just going to be a really bad situation. Saquon will not be happy. He already expressed that he won't be happy. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know if I got a feeling he's going to be going to the AFC. I
I would
think
say that too.
I think he's going to go to your AFC secret crush now.
The Ravens, yeah, it's
Yes.
always been a thought in my mind. They do need a running back, especially with J.K. Dobbins, and his uncertainty.
Well, there's not just Dobbins. You got to talk about that Mitchell kid too. That Mitchell kid was looking good before that injury.
Yeah, and
I
they
picked
don't
him
know
up
when
in
he'll be
fantasy.
back.
Yeah. But look, I mean, there was a recent article released by complex.com, and apparently they had an interview with both Danny DeVito, not Danny,
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito and Saquon. And in there, Saquon was quoted to see that he could see himself in another uniform, which isn't good for you guys. I don't know how. I don't know. I've never heard of Complex before, so I don't know if it's a credible site or not. But if it is, then that's not good news for you guys.
I
Yeah,
got a good
no.
spot that he could land.
If you say the Dallas Cowboys,
I wasn't gonna say that at all.
okay.
I think he could go to Houston.
Ooh,
That's
open up.
interesting.
That's
Yeah.
He do like a combination with him and Devin Singletary. That'll give
yeah.
CJ Stroud
Yeah.
another option, a good run game with Saquon, but it'll definitely open up more pass plays with CJ Stroud, like a lightning and thunder situation for CJ Stroud. Adding the more weapons with Stroud will definitely help him going into his second year.
Well, quick side note about the Houston Texans. Do you guys think they still need another wide receiver, like a true number one, or do you think Nico Collins can be that number one?
I think number two.
The
Tank Dell was going off, and
Yeah,
he
he
what
really
was
about
got
he
Noah
hurt.
was
Brown?
showing up.
Mm. They have
Uh,
two. They have two number two receivers.
Right. Like if you want to add another receiver to that group, give CJ Stroud all the weapons he can. Just kind of
Yeah.
resemble it like he was in Ohio State.
Which kind of actually that let's bring that back to the Giants. Mal, do you think Sterling Shepard is going to officially retire, or do you think he's going to go down to maybe Houston?
I think he'll retire, and if he does go anywhere, he's not going to see the production that he did in the past. He's getting older. I don't know. I think a team would sign him on like a vet minimum contract to see like
Mhm.
what he still has. I don't foresee much for Sterling Shepard moving
Okay.
forward. I think he should retire.
All right, that's fair. Anything else you want to add with the Giants that I didn't have on the agenda before we move on?
Nope. Hopefully next week we'll have some more news, but you could take it away.
Well, before we move on, I do want to say, Mal, I took a play out of your book for my other podcast, the Sixer Sense podcast, because the episode I recorded the episode earlier today, and so be coming out the same time that this episode does tomorrow, should be roughly. And I said if the Sixers win the NBA championship, I'm getting like a 21 tattoo with a Sixers logo on my calf.
I love it. I love it.
That's what's going to happen.
Gotta have the
Okay.
big bets.
How do you feel about that, Maurice?
Ooh, you can't back out of it now, Lucas.
I can't. Look, I mean, Joel Embiid, not to get too sidetracked, their best player had a 70-point game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of hard not to. Anyway, getting back
I'm
to football.
gonna hold you to that, sir.
Yes.
Look, it's going to happen. Look, if it happens, then it's going to happen, okay? All right. That being said, let's get to the Commanders now, my team here. The sad news is there hasn't been a lot of real traction in terms of head coach. Last week I talked about Adam Peters, and I'm glad that he's taking his time to do it. Doesn't seem like that many candidates have been hired. Although right before we started recording the podcast, it was announced that Jim Harbaugh had been agreed to become the Los Angeles Chargers new head coach. So quick reactions on that, guys. Good fit?
Good fit. Good hire. That only helps the growth of Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
So good for them.
Earl?
Yeah, it's a solid fit. I think he'll get Herbert to where he needs to. The only problem is he's gonna have to whip Kellen Moore into shape.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, if he keeps Kellen Moore, who knows? Mal?
I think it's a great hire. I think it's great for both sides because Jim and his wife love being on the West Coast, and like Maurice said, it's great for Justin Herbert. I think they're gonna make a nice turnaround with Jim there.
Who do you think is going to take over for him in Michigan? Do you think that guy that covered for him the last 3 games, do you think he gets the job?
I think so.
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
All right, but speaking of already having a quarterback, the Commanders don't have a quarterback of the future. I think we can all agree there.
I think Sam Howell's great.
I think he'd be a good backup.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think you
season,
just like
sir.
him because you guys can beat him. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm just being a scooch. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I hear you.
okay, but no, in all seriousness, so Mel Kiper's draft board came out. Now, so Mel Kiper is the most controversial draft analyst in the NFL. I think we can all agree that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time.
He has, but you know what? He's gotten some wrong, but he's also gotten some right. And I think his take right here is the right one. He has the Commanders projected to take Jaden Daniels. So let me ask you guys: is Jaden Daniels the right choice for the Commanders at number 2? I'm assuming that Caleb Williams goes 1 to the Bears.
I don't know.
I mean, we'll do another draft one later in this offseason, but initially right now.
If I'll say this, if I'm the Commanders and I'm Joshua Harris, the owner, why not just go for it all? Why not just move up and get Caleb Williams?
Ooh, so
Yeah.
you think the Commanders should move up? Okay,
I do. There's only one spot.
Well, okay.
I think they should stay.
Who should they get, Earl?
I would say Jaden Daniels, but I'm hearing things about Drake May.
I can't do another UNC quarterback. 2 in a row is a little bit too much for me.
But I mean, if they do get Caleb Williams, you're gonna have to deal with all that stuff that he's out.
See, that's why I kind of don't want Williams. Okay, Mal, what do you think?
So I'm with Maurice in the sense I think you should, if you're going to go for a quarterback, you go for it all and take Caleb. But also, if Harris wants to see another year of Sam Howell for some reason, then I think you go MHJ. That's the only other thing that I would say you guys do. I wouldn't say take an offensive lineman that early. You guys have a lot of picks in the later rounds to make that up and build the line. I think you need like one more playmaker right outside of Terry, or you trade back and you go for Brock Bowers.
So here's a hot take that I just thought of. We know that the Bears are most likely going to get Caleb Williams, right?
Most likely. I don't think they're sticking with Fields, but
I think they should stick with Fields, but I don't think they will.
Agreed.
If Fields is on the market.
Regardless, Caleb Williams. I'm sorry, Earl. Regardless, Caleb Williams will get drafted number 1.
Yeah.
The team, we don't know.
Yeah. I will say this. If they decide to move off of Justin Fields, it might only take a second round pick or 2. The Commanders could stand to lose, give up a second round pick or 2 for Justin Fields.
I don't hate that idea for you guys.
And then going for Marvin Harrison, Jr. for the second pick. Still keep that second pick.
Yeah.
That's the only thing of keeping that second pick.
You could trade back.
Yeah, because there's 2 high-ranked left tackles in the draft that could help you guys out too. Or I said, Brock Bowers.
I mean, I'm okay with Logan Thomas being our tight end. I don't need I don't need an all-pro tight end. I just need a good one.
I actually saw a lot of Commanders fans that weren't really happy with the tight end position, so I didn't know how you felt about that.
Look, I don't expect the tight end to be a major weapon most of the time, so I'm okay with him being what he is. He's a good tight end. He's not. I don't think he's the worst tight end in the division. No offense, Mal. Yeah, that is a shot at your guy. I think.
Yeah, I don't think Darren Waller is bad. I just think he's injury prone. But
yeah, because I think right now in the division, the best one is Goddard, right? I think we can all agree there at the moment. Though Earl's guy is making a run for it.
Making a comeback.
Ferguson is a good young player.
Yeah, Jake Ferguson.
It's Goddard.
Yeah, it's Goddard right now, right? So would you rather have, Logan Thomas or Darren Waller? I think I'd rather have Logan Thomas.
To be quite honest, I don't think I'd rather have either.
That's fair.
I respect that.
I would prefer a new tight end too, but
okay. Well, you might be able to get one. You're in the 5th spot, right? 5th or 6th?
6th. Yeah, 6th.
You might be able to get Jake Bowers. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are just. We'll talk more draft stuff as it comes up, but if we go quarterback, I've said it from the early on and during the season, Jaden Daniels is my guy. If we go quarterback. But I'm not opposed to trading for Justin Fields either. Just has to be the right situation. But I don't think a new head coach would want to trade for Justin Fields. But who knows, right? That being said, that being said, and this brings us perfectly to Maurice now. To segue into this, Maurice, Commanders' former head coach Ron Rivera interviewed for the DC position. Not the only guy interested in that position, but he interviewed. How would you feel if Ron Rivera was your new DC?
I would like it.
Really?
Like I said last pod, anything was an upgrade over the Sean Desai, Matt Patricia combo tenure, tag team tenure that was this season. So when I get to the Eagles, I will talk more about it. But Ron Rivera,
I mean, it's your turn now, man. Talk more about it.
So Ron Rivera, I mean, he's not a good coach, but as a coordinator, I think he does a really good job. I actually really like his defense. And like I've been saying all season, when it comes to defense, it really is all about your personnel. You can have the best scheme. You can have any type of scheme you want. But, I mean, if you don't have the proper personnel to run it, like a Ron Rivera, where you really need linebackers It's not going to work. This is not going to work. So, yeah. So speaking of our defense, with some more breaking news earlier today, Vic Fangio and the Miami Dolphins mutually agreed to part ways. And according to reports, it's looking like he will take the Eagles defensive coordinator position. It's not been confirmed yet, but there are reports that saying that he wants to be closer to his family here in Pennsylvania. And I I'm a little I don't know how I feel about that because the defensive system that Howie Roseman has always implemented here throughout the years with his coordinators has always been Vic Fangio like. Um, a lot of coverages, a lot of zone coverages, a lot of depending on the defensive line to create pressure, speed up the offense as much as possible and create turnovers. A lot of that comes down to, and like I said, a lot of it comes down to personnel. Our defense this year didn't have the talent, especially after a lot of guys were down with injuries. So if Vic Fangio is the guy, he's an upgrade over what we had last season, obviously. They need to invest in some players on this defense. If that's the way they're going to go, they're going to go with an established coordinator instead of a young guy on defense. I'm fine with it. I'll be fine with it. Just to throw some stats out there based off of Miami's defense last season under Vic Fangio. They were 11th in yards per game allowed with 323. They gave up 5 yards per play, which is ninth in the NFL. They had 27 takeaways, which is eighth. 56 sacks, third in the NFL. And they had the third highest pressure rate on defense with 27.7. Now, they had a good defense. I mean, they had some good players in their defense. And overall, they had more impact players than the Eagles do right now. So, like I said, they have to invest in via draft or free agency. But I mean, they had Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Jalen Phillips, Chubb. They had some really good impact players on that defense. And if this defense wants to get young, you start with Jalen Carter, who probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Jordan Davis kind of tailed off towards the end of the season. Once again, it's conditioning with him. He's a big guy, and his conditioning tailed off towards the end of the season. You got to start there and build and work your way from there. But they definitely have to invest in the cornerback position and finally invest in the linebackers as well. What you guys think about that? Think about Fangio as the defensive coordinator.
I think that would be. I think it would help you guys out, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He likes being able to utilize certain matchups. I think the biggest problem with you guys is just health wise.
Yeah.
And I think with the health, if y'all are able to be better healthy and so on and add more to your team, I think Fangio can actually get y'all where y'all need to be. Y'all just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I also think, like you said, Maurice, it all comes down to investing in the players. But it also, like Earl said, is about staying healthy too, because a lot of the Dolphins defense was injured this year. And I think that's the reason why he kind of struggled with them. But he didn't even really struggle. I think it would be a good hire for you guys. I think it's definitely an upgrade over Desai. And I know that Desai's been linked to the Giants because we had interviewed him and he was a finalist before we hired Wink. So I just hope we don't take him because
yeah, please, that would be bad.
Oh, God. But
we'll see there. We'll see.
Yeah.
Look, I think you could do a lot worse than Vic Fangio. I mean,
Sure.
He's not a good head coach. We know that because of his time with the Broncos, but overall, he's a pretty. I mean, look, he made Miami's defense, good enough to get them to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I think the year before he got there, they were pretty horrendous. So, kudos to that. I mean, like it's not like the Dolphins had world beaters on defense, so I mean that's pretty good. I'm okay with that for you guys. I mean, I don't know who's better, Ron Rivera, Vic Fangio, who knows, but like you guys got a good one. If assuming that this goes through.
Yeah, some of this goes through. And real quick, Eagles had a press conference earlier today. We're recording Wednesday night. Basically, just to solidify Nick Sirianni's position as the head coach going forward. Um, might be in the same boat as Mike McCarthy. I think he has 1 year to really prove that he's a legitimate, viable head coach for this franchise going forward. Um, he's got 1 year. I'll just put it to you like that. He a lot of the coaching decisions, specifically with Desai, moving Desai, kind of throwing him under the bus, not once but twice. Putting him in the booth and taking away his play calling position, and then just outright firing him at the end of the season. When, to be quite frankly, the defense looked worse with Patricia. So that was all Nick Sirianni. And as far as I know, I'm not reporting anything, but as far as I know, that was his decision. So he's going to be under the microscope this season. And as of this recording, they haven't made a decision yet on offensive coordinator. They let go of Brian Johnson, which was the right move, in my opinion. So as of right now, we don't know who's the offensive coordinator. You can't go wrong pretty much as long as the offensive coordinator comes in and has full reign of the offense and calls the plays, which minimizes Sirianni as a head coach. But you need that offensive mind that's going to help guys like Jalen Hurts, and hopefully bring back Swift, but he is a free agent. Devontae Smith
If I'm
and AJ
Swift,
Brown.
I don't want to come back.
Say that again?
If I'm Swift, I don't want to come back.
He had a productive season. I mean,
but not as nearly as it could have been, because you've even said it that they underutilized him.
Well, that's what the offensive coordinator comes in.
If yeah, but like, how do you know for sure that this guy's going to use me right?
Well, that really depends on which. If the offensive coordinator that they bring in has a record of rushing the football and running the ball, then I think it would be enticing for Swift to come back. Listen, the Eagles, he's only 25 years old. This is his hometown. He had a productive season. He rushed for 1,000 yards last season. He's still going to have a good offensive line. And by the way, Jason Kelce did not retire yet. I stood by that, Lucas.
I know.
He did not retire, but yet. But he's going to come back to a really good, productive offense.
So, hey, hang on. Can we talk about Jason Kelce at the Chiefs game real quick, though?
Yeah. He was the star of the show.
He stole the show.
He was just having a good time. I loved it.
I loved it too. It was fantastic. That's what brothers are supposed to. Like, if you just saw him in the stand and you didn't really know like football out, like if you don't really know football, you just thought he was another ecstatic fan. And that's what makes this so great.
It was so great. What made it great was he was there to cheer on his brother in the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Bills fans really liked it. He went out there tailgating earlier, taking shots out of a bowling ball. He was just having a great time, and Bills fans appreciated it, and I'm sure Chiefs fans loved it as well. So, yeah, he's just a good dude, man. He's you can't hate on Jason Kelce.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting what you guys do at offensive coordinator for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Earl, what you got?
It's my turn.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go for it. I know you got some stuff.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to start out talking about Mike McCarthy. Found out earlier last week that he is returning to finish out his contract. My situation with that and take on it is I wasn't okay with how some of the players responded to him coming back, where they were like, let's run it back. So you're telling me that you want to run it back and get another beatdown in the first round exit? I think not.
Dang.
The situation with that, the team lacks discipline, and they consider Mike McCarthy the good parent, where everyone here on this podcast should know that you will always remember the tough parent. And right now, they don't have that tough parent that can watch over them in that, and that's starting to become a problem. But
You
one thing
missing
that
Bill Belichick, man? You wish you
I'm,
got Bill?
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I understand where the Joneses go, and I'm not like actually, I'm actually happy he's back because I believe he has another year to redeem himself. Mike McCarthy, from when I'm watching him during his press conference, he talked about this past wild card game and he struggled. He really worries about this team on them handling success compared to being punched in the mouth. And where he was really worried about the team handling success, they lack in it. And just trying to figure out how you can get them to the point of being able to understanding the success and making sure that they have what they need to be better prepared. Now, don't get me wrong, going back to back to back 12 win seasons, 3 straight seasons, that's hard to do. But at the same time, I want to see this team develop better. And not by saying by record wise, but as fundamentally sound and discipline wise. Because I can say, yeah, you won the division, but it depends what you do in the postseason. And what they did in the postseason was lay an egg. I put At first I would put blame on Jerry Jones, but actually I'm gonna put this on Stephen Jones because I believe Jerry Jones gave the team to Stephen Jones to run. And right now I see him as very conservative. He's conservative, stale, plain. He's scared to take risks. The 2021, 22, and 23 season was under Stephen Jones' watch. And right now, I need him and the organization to go all in during this offseason. They can't rely on draft picks because they hardly have any draft picks. You're going to have to go into the free agency side where you can find marshals, guys that's got stripes, battle scars. And that's what's going to help the team. I can't see another team not fully investing in free agents that can help better their team. I'm just saying, Stephen Jones, go get some of those free agents. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. But it just seems like he's so conservative. And you can make this a soundbite as you want, but I believe Jerry Jones gave the keys to the wrong child. Should have gave it to his daughter, Charlotte Jones.
Okay.
I believe Charlotte Jones would have took some of those risks that her dad would do in some situations that helps the team, but overall gave the keys to his son, where I think he's very intelligent to be able to assemble a team, but he's not taking the risk in order to bring a championship to help get the team to championship level. So I put the blame on Stephen Jones with that. And hopefully this time around, he realizes what the team needs and stop being so complacent. Go out there, take some risks. You never know till you try. I'm going to shift over to another coach, Dan Quinn. I know he's had a second interview with the Seahawks, and he did interview with the Chargers, but the Chargers head coaching job got locked up. So Seattle is still up in the air. I'm okay with Dan Quinn coming back, but I think from this past wild card game, he was trying to stack pad on his resume instead of coaching the team to victory. And I would like for him to come back and go under normal science instead of mad scientists. Well, basically man science. I'm tongue tied. I'm sorry. Let me run that back. Uh, Dan Quinn, he constantly uses mad scientist tactics instead of utilizing normal science. It's already coming to terms with me with this that Dan Quinn, please stop creating new because you out here looking like the Muppets, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. One thing that I believe with him being able to stop defying the laws of physics is that a traditional defense can actually win you a championship. And I need him to understand that turning safeties into linebackers is not okay. And I believe that if he does get a second chance to come back to Dallas, well, technically it'll be a third chance. But I believe that if he comes back, he can show what he can do because I seen him do it with the Legion of Boom in Seattle, where he had traditional linebackers, just freakish ability. You didn't have to go hybrid or anything like this. So I don't understand why he was trying to stack pad his resume to be that he's this creative mindset and stuff. Stick with the old traditional things because that'll help you win championships. Old school football. I need to see that. I'm gonna shift over to Dak Prescott. I know that Dak Prescott is on his way to getting extended, and I'm cool with him getting an extension because I've seen other quarterbacks get extensions, and I understand that fans have been like taking shots at him and so on, like CD's mom. CD Lamb's mom went to media saying that Dak is this, Dak is that. And then I actually read some of the comments where one fan of the Texans was like, "Hey, bring CD over to the Texans. CJ Stroud would be great to have him there." And then she responded, "That actually wouldn't be a bad idea. I actually would like to see that." Now, I understand with so many people just going after Dak Prescott, they fail to realize Dak Prescott, even though his record isn't as good as against some of the better teams, some of the greats basically really didn't have much success against the good and better teams. Some has one championship, some has no championships, but they still call them great. So I'm just trying to figure out why Dak Prescott takes so much heat for that, where he can still get records. And I'm a supporter of Dak, but I will also criticize him when I need to. And for him to know that I believe he can lead the Cowboys to a Super Bowl only if you do this. Take the ball out his hands. Get him a run game. He pretty much put up MVP numbers this season without a run game. I commend him on that. But when you get deeper into the postseason, you have to rely on that run game. Dallas DNA of championship squad was having a durable running back. Emmitt Smith, back in the heyday, in the 70s, Tony Dorsett. So you really have to get him a running back as well as adding more options at receiver and shoring up your center because I believe that they're not going to re-sign Tyler Biadasz, but get a new center that can hold up his own without getting bullied at the line of scrimmage. They need to address the left tackle spot with Tyron Smith. If he comes back, see where his health is, but if not, slide Tyler Smith to left tackle and then move TJ Bass to left guard. And then Zach Martin is on his way out. Shift Brock Hoffman to right guard, keep Terrence Steele where he is, and then you'll have a young, youthful line that can learn and be able to protect Dak. And then giving Dak Prescott a run game will help him out a lot. He actually needs the aura of a Terrell Davis, where John Elway, he needed Terrell Davis to get him to the promised land. I'm gonna say this about Dak Prescott, and I'm gonna keep it as real as possible. Dak Prescott has talked about just basically where he's admitted to suffering from depression. A year or two ago, his brother committed suicide over the same thing of just being suffering from depression. I'm going to do my best to encourage that the best of my ability, make sure that he doesn't go to that dark spot when people are like coming after him. He's a phenomenal quarterback. I want Dak Prescott to know that. I believe he can lead the Cowboys to get a Super Bowl in Dallas. And I'm going to support you. I'm going to encourage you. I appreciate you, but I will also criticize you because I know how good of a quarterback Dak Prescott is. Now, y'all may have a different say on Dak Prescott, but that's my take on him. What do y'all think real quick before I get into the rest of the situation with the families?
I think that it's going to be hard to find somebody as good as Dak. I think that things have to be perfect around Dak for him to succeed, and I don't think that's the case in Dallas right now.
What do you mean by perfect?
I mean, the defense really let you all down. Like the offense, yeah, was bad, but you guys still ended up with 32 points, right?
Yep.
But the defense wasn't there, and part of that is Stephon Diggs, part of that is the coaching. I mean, and the offense, did struggle in part because of Dak, not only because of Dak. You could use another wide out, you could use another running back, maybe a little better offensive line, but I feel like you can win a Super Bowl with Dak, but not because of Dak.
I can agree with that. Now, with you saying that, I'm going to give you 4 to 5 names of quarterbacks that clearly has a worse record or semi-record close to Dak with winning teams. See if you know these people. Drew Brees. He has a record of 51-67 against winning teams, has won Super Bowl. Carson Wentz, 11-18 against winning teams. He has a Super Bowl ring. Aaron Rodgers, 36-42 against winning teams. He has a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford, 8-59 against winning teams. He has a Super Bowl. Who else up here? Derek Carr. He doesn't have a Super Bowl, but his record is 11-40. Kirk Cousins, 7-30 against winning teams. Dak Prescott's record, 13-17 with a 43% versus winning teams. So the record against winning teams it isn't all that, but you got to add pieces around him that will get you where you need to be with him. So I've seen all these other great quarterbacks that needed pieces to be with them to end up getting the Super Bowl. So it's a shame that Dak takes so much criticism over it that all you got to do is put pieces around him and then he'll thrive like all these other great quarterbacks.
I don't think it's just pieces. Sorry, Maurice. I think it's coaching too. And that goes back to what I was trying to interject earlier, is that I don't think Mike McCarthy is the answer. I get it, fan base, you got to talk yourself into it because there's not much of an option here, but he's not going to get you guys back there. I really don't think so. He's a good coach, but I just don't think he's the right coach for you guys.
No, I think it was a mistake bringing him back.
You should have gone for Belichick. Yeah.
But I'll say this, going back to what Earl was talking about with Dak. Listen, this is coming from an Eagles fan, and I've stated this on this podcast many times before. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He was by far the best quarterback in the NFC. NFC East, excuse me. NFC East. And it's debatable if he was better than Brock Purdy. Dak is a good quarterback. Statistically, he puts up great numbers. It comes down to winning in the playoffs with Dak. If Dak can't win in the playoffs, he will always be considered a failure of a quarterback. To be completely honest,
that's why I'm saying you gotta get him the pieces he needs because you gotta take the ball out of his hands.
But
That's
Earl,
what I'm trying to plead a case on, is that if you take the ball out of his hands, then you're better off with not having him win you the game, but make the clutch throws, which I know he can, but it's out of his hands and getting them to where they need to be.
So you're saying they need an
but
upgrade at running back?
Yes, they
but
need
here's
a
the
running game.
yeah, and you've said that before, but every year I hear, oh, this is the best Cowboys team we've had yet. This is the best Cowboys team that we've had yet. But it doesn't seem like it's ever enough. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Tell me. I mean, not just Earl, but like you guys heard it for the last like 5, 6 off seasons. This is the best Cowboys team we've ever had.
Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty much every Cowboys fan that says that. So I mean, that's included in why the Cowboys get the hate that they do. And Dak is just associated, guilty by association. Dak gets hate because he's a Cowboy. And you know, when the Cowboys lose, social media goes on fire. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, Twitter, you know, when the Cowboys lost to the Packers, Twitter was hilarious. I mean, as an Eagles fan, it was hilarious, but I mean, we had our own problems, but it was still funny though.
That's all I'm saying, Earl. Is just this like you guys always boast that now this season you have the best team, but every single time you fall short, and then it says, "Oh, we need more talent."
And that
Is
brings
it
to my
really
next.
the talent or is it the coaching?
It's the coaching.
Okay. Then let's drop the pretense here. This team was good enough to make it to the NFC Championships. Can we all agree that this Cowboys team was good enough to get to the NFC Championship?
Definitely.
Okay.
Agree.
Okay. So then the real problem isn't the talent. I mean, yeah, could they use the upgrades? Absolutely. I'm not denying that. But the talent was good enough to get you guys there this year. So was the coaching. I don't want to hear anything about the talent. Yes, you guys can use upgrades. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I don't want to hear this false hope narrative in McCarthy or Dan Quinn turning this thing around. I don't believe in them.
And
And I'm not trying to be
Lucas, you won't get it this season.
okay.
This season's gonna be an eye test. I'm not even doing a prediction. You're not gonna make me do it. This is gonna be an eye test week by week that they gotta show me. They gotta show all of us Cowboy fans. Might not get the benefit of the doubt. This season coming up is an eye test. I don't care what happens on the team that assembles, as long as they assemble it to what they need to. It's an eye test year for me. They gotta show me.
I mean, we'll see. But like, let me just say this. Even if you guys had the upgrades that you're talking about on offensive line, at linebacker, at Stephon Diggs was healthy, running back. If you had all these upgrades, I feel like you guys still lose that game against the Packers because you weren't there mentally. And that's on the coaching.
And that's why I said that he worried about the success of the team instead of being punched in the mouth. If they're able to shore that up and be better disciplined, no doubt they beat Green Bay. But everybody was pumping them up about, yeah, these are the Packers. Y'all got this. Y'all haven't lost at home. Y'all got this. And they fell and ate the cheese. They ate the rotten cheese. Dan Quinn, he was looking at the job in Seattle. He wasn't mentally there to coach this team and so on. I know people want to give Dan Quinn a lot of credit for how the defense is. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Pass rushing was terrible. I believe the secondary coaches, they need a little more appreciation with how well the corners played overall this season. Al
Okay.
Harris, Joe Witt Jr. But I'm done talking about that. Let me get to this whole stuff with the media stuff with the family. I'm out of the mud with everything that deals with anything with how the parents and so on talks about the players and stuff. That's what a parent does. When I was a kid, I got that all the time with the coaches. I remember my uncle was yelling, nearly cussed out the coach because they took me and some of the other guys out from the play and it cost a big play of a touchdown. That's what parents do for their parents. But they talk these things, but it's just them running their mouth. The players have the ultimate mindset and the decision on what they do. And right now, I haven't heard anything from CeeDee Lamb. I heard something from Micah Parsons. He's devoted to this team. I respect it, but you got to go out there and show out. Dak
Is he?
Prescott, all I can tell you, pass rushing isn't the best thing in the world.
No, I'm just going to say this. He said that he speaks for himself. He didn't deny what his brother said. He only said that he speaks for himself. That's all I'm going to say.
All I'm going to say with that is that Micah, just show up and show what you got this upcoming season. What's done with that? It's just families talking. I'm not falling for the wee-woo. So whatever happens with that, that's fine. And CeeDee Lamb, how he acted in the wild card game, his mom need to focus on talking to him about stop being a crybaby in the first quarter when things don't go his way. But that's for another story. Can I shift over to Between the Lines?
Yes, you can.
All right, cool. The slate of games for Between the Lines, it was the divisional round of the playoffs. And the first matchup was the Houston Texans against the Baltimore Ravens. What can I say? The Houston Texans, hey, they put up a good fight, but got obliterated in the fourth quarter. The Ravens won 34-10. Lamar Jackson had a field day. He went 16 to 22, 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran with 11 carries for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Ravens are rolling right now, and they host the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. The next game I had was, okay, I see how you line this up. The Chiefs and Bills. That overall was a really good game. The only downside, the Buffalo Woes, they continue. I feel for the Buffalo fans.
Wide right again.
Mm-hmm. And when that situation occurred, it just brought all the memory back of Scott Norwood back in that first Super Bowl. And it hit like the exact same way, which was crazy. But overall, the Chiefs, they took care of business when they needed to. They made the plays when it counted. Patrick Mahomes, he went 17 to 23 for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he's the workhorse of this offense for Kansas City. He had 15 carries, 97 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then Travis Kelce, he had 5 receptions, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And his brother was shirtless, roaring in excitement. Hey, the Kelce brothers they're awesome to watch.
They're a treat of the NFL for sure.
Couldn't agree more. So for you three, who you got? Chiefs or Ravens?
I'm going to go with Mal on this one. I already know her answer. It's going to be the Ravens. I feel like it's going to be the Ravens.
Maurice?
Ravens.
All right, cool. I got the Ravens as well.
Go Flock.
Flocka.
Fly like a flock of birds. All right. The next game that I have is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Detroit Lions. And this game was actually a really good game as well. I'm really excited to see how the Lions are playing. And I feel like they're going to their first ever NFC Championship game. That's actually a solid honor because they really haven't had this much success since around maybe 92. And I was 1 year old. And Tampa, they put up a good fight. Baker Mayfield, he had 26 of 41 for 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, but those 2 interceptions kind of hurt them. Jared Goff, he went 30 for 43, 287 with 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs he's playing beyond a rookie right now, and I think he's going to have to be that workhorse with them going into this game against San Francisco. He had 9 carries for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. And then Amon St. Brown, a.k.a. Sun God, had 8 receptions for 77 yards and 1 touchdown. And they have a date in Santa Clara against the San Francisco 49ers, who defeated the Green Bay Packers. Let's see here. It was 24-21. And this game, it could have went either way. Jordan Love, he continued to play well. Just had 2 inconsistent interceptions, but his numbers were 21 for 34, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, as well as those 2 interceptions. Aaron Jones, he had 18 carries for 108 yards. And then on the San Francisco side, Brock Purdy, he had 23 of 39, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 17, and CMC had 17 carries for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. George Kittle, 4 receptions, 81 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, for you three, in the NFC Championship game, who you got, Lions or Niners?
Now you go first.
I think I got the 49ers in this one.
Maurice.
This is going to be a really interesting game. I'm rooting for the Lions, so I'm going to go Lions.
It all depends on if Deebo Samuel plays. Right now, I'm not sure if he does, so I'm going to go Lions.
Okay.
But it was a before you continue, it was a great season for Jordan Love. I'm going to be interested to see how he progresses going into next season.
I wonder what type of weapons they're going to get for him next season.
They better support him with weapons, unlike what they did with Aaron Rodgers for many years.
Probably not, because they still have the same Gouda guns as the GM. But wouldn't it be wild if they grabbed that LSU? No, he's not going to be there by the time they get to their part of the draft. But like, if they could get him a first round wide receiver, or I like their tight end, or a running back. Well, no, not running back. Hold up, didn't the Packers use a first round pick on Eddie Lacy? Was Eddie Lacy a second round pick?
I don't follow Green Bay like that. I think it might have been a second round pick.
Okay, well, anyway, could upgrade a wide receiver or a running back, but for weapons for Love. But you're right. Yeah, I think the Lions have a man. Wouldn't it be fun to see the Lions and the Ravens in the Super Bowl? Just like
that would be fun.
Because, like, don't get me wrong, any of these matchups would be fun, in my opinion. But just like if Detroit won a Super Bowl, like, could you imagine what that would mean for that city?
Detroit versus everybody.
Yep.
Because Michigan got their championship.
I mean, Detroit the Pistons Lions are definitely not going to get a championship this year.
I ain't worried about the Pistons. I'm saying Michigan Wolverines got their national championship.
Yep.
Detroit Lions have a chance to get to the Super Bowl and compete for a championship. They just got to go through the final boss of the San Francisco 49ers. The matchup I have between these guys, it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be low scoring. I actually have the Lions edging the Niners by a late field goal.
The game's in San Francisco, right? So maybe that makes a difference. I don't know.
Hopefully it's not raining like how it was this past week. I think it might be better temperatures. But I actually wouldn't mind seeing the Lions and Ravens Super Bowl.
It would be cool. But, guys, this is the first time in a long time we're going to be finishing under an hour. Mal, how about you go ahead and wrap this up for us?
Yeah, sounds good. So thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, 13 Rings and NFC East Podcasts. We're also on X, also known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at 13_Rings Podcast. Make sure you give us a follow there, and everybody have a great night.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Blessings.